Just completed Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and I thought it was pretty good. Don't have a software or device that could screen record the Nintendo Switch, but I could just emulate if I want to. Come on, do you really expect me to restart the game after all I've just did?
You know how much I sacrificed?
So I won't be doing a review on the game, but I think I'll give this an 8.5 score. Giving this a 9 out of 10, but there are times the game gave me the same experience to the point where the changes feel like there's 2% differences. Maybe 5% of the depth explorations. Same experience being, oh, we're gonna have to rescue this village again, find a Master Sword again, find Koroks in the same place again, find some shrines in the same locations again, and find some memories again. Ah shit, here we go again. That alone kinda makes me wish this game could have been a single game. But enough of that, because I'm not here to make a review on the game. But what I really want to do is to talk about things that I like that's worthy enough to be called a sequel than some expensive DLC / expansion pack. Oh no, we're back in the PS1 era again, are we? Because I gotta admit, there are some things in Breath of the Wild that makes me want to say, damn, I kinda miss that stuff. Or, you know, thinking that I would say, maybe there are things in the first game that I liked more than the second game. Welcome to 5 things Tears of the Kingdom did better, and 5 things that Breath of the Wild did better. Now, keep in mind, all of these opinions are based on things that I like from these 2 games did, so don't take this as fact. Also, most of my Breath of the Wild opinions may be based on memory, so all research may be wrong. So let's kick this list off with the fusion experimentation. Now, on my earliest playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom, most of the time I only use fusion if I want to blow something away, or maybe building an axe. Of course, once I started fusing my weapons with monster materials, it got stronger and more durable, which made fighting civil enemies and outside bosses way easier to beat. So if you're smart enough, you can craft a pickaxe that's strong enough to beat a Talus. I think the strongest fusion I made was the Scimitar of the 7 and combining it with an ancient blade. This alone gave that weapon 128 damage levels. But let's face it, that's just beginner numbers. Now, while I am kinda tired that every game needs crafting systems nowadays, I'm glad that the fusion system is just used to fuse at least one object. So it's better than most crafting systems if this one really does count. On number 1, what Breath of the Wild did better are the Guardians. Remember back in the Wii U days when we all saw how badly it flopped and how no one considered buying it because of its poor marketing and how people have no idea if it's a new console or an accessory? Well, that's where Nintendo decided to up their strategy to create something new, something bold, something that could skyrocket the Wii U sales.
Here we go.
It failed. And Breath of the Wild was pretty much the last game on the console made by Nintendo. But hey, at least it skyrocketed the Switch sales.
Here we go.
It did also bring us this brilliant teaser trailer of producer Eiji Onuma on a field talking about the game and its vision featuring a Link on a horse. All of a sudden, holy shit, is that Cyborg Tektite? It's got laser guns, it's got blasters, and boom! Coming soon! 2017! Delayed. It got delayed.
Unfortunately, we don't have anything to share right now.
Almost lost track of there. I mean, you're talking about Guardians, not the trailer. More specifically, this guy right here. Remember the good old days playing Breath of the Wild for the first time and everyone thought this was gonna be like other Zelda games? Not this time. You die, learn to trial and error, and encounter your first Guardian. So if you aren't equipped with the right tools, well, good luck, pal. You're gonna need it.
Prepare for my civil rights beam.
Listen, the Gloom Hands are a very worthy replacement, but I definitely wish we get to fight these Guardians again. Well, there's always the Flux construct, but come on, everyone knows how to beat it once you make use of the Ultra Hand. Now the second thing that Tears of the Kingdom did better is obviously the boss roster. What Tears of the Kingdom excels better than its predecessor is having better bosses than the last game. I remember playing the last game and the first boss I had to fight was a giant rock?
Is this some sort of masochistic joke?
Actually, does this even count as a boss or a mini-boss? An overworld boss? Actually, it doesn't matter. But why is my first boss a giant rock and not a dinosaur or demon kid? Every time when I do get to the story bosses, it's got one of the most boring, uninspired names and designs. Like, they just have the same name. Element's name, Blight. Last name Ganon. What happened to the time when you fought a giant octopus? Or an eagle? Or hell, I'd even take a giant robot goat. There's only like one story boss that isn't an element named Blight, last name Ganon. But you only fight him once. Thankfully, Tears of the Kingdom fixed all the problems by giving us a bear-looking bosses with bear variety. I didn't watch much of the trailers, so I'm not sure if these bosses did actually appear. But one of my wishes was to have better bosses rather than a boss with the same name and near same design. We've even got to fight Master Koga 4 times and even the return of Gleox and freaking Goma! Seriously, you have no idea how super excited to see the new Goma appearing in this game. I mean, if all of a sudden the bosses here are the same, but this time with the word dwarf added, I'm going to sue the living crap out of someone at Nintendo with the uncle working there as my first target, and work my way to the top to sue the executives. Screw you, Blight Ganons. Now, second thing Breath of the Wild did there is the Stasis Rune power. Looking back at the powers in Breath of the Wild, it made me realize how useless they were, with the bombs being the most OP since it's pretty much your only self-defense method if you break or have no weapons. And there's one that's only purpose was to create an ice block just to platform a river, and a magnet which, looking back now, is way useless than the Ultra Hand. I guess there was that one power-up that was very useful, and that was the lock ability, where you could freeze an object in time and make use of the game's physics by mashing the attack button and launch it at high speeds. Actually, now that I think about it, this thing was insane. You could even use it to speedrun the crap out of the game. Heck, does anyone remember that you can upgrade your runes to plus status? You can even freeze your enemies there without using an ice weapon. The third thing Tears of the Kingdom did there is that you get to fight alongside with allies. This one's gotta be a controversial point, but you gotta remember, it's my opinion. Why is it controversial, you might ask? Well, for starters, the ally AI is dumb and slow. Then there's times when you want to choose a certain stage, but one of them is either missing or not around due to the area spacing. Now I heard that the devs work with some of the team that did Xenoblade games, so what are the chances they use the same movement AI as them? Anyway, the best part of fighting alongside together is that I don't have to fight alone, and that power of kinship on working together. Plus, it's thanks to these guys doing most of the work, I don't have to use my weapons. That means I won't have to waste my durability. You can even use their sage powers to even up the battlefield if you know what you're doing. But it's not just fighting alongside the sages, you can even fight alongside the monster control crew taking out enemy hideouts. The third thing Breath of the Wild did better is the elemental weapons. You know what I miss a lot playing Tears of the Kingdom? Is that the removal of the elemental weapons in the last game. Getting these weapons for the first time, I really like its sci-fi and neon lighting. Sadly, due to the game's weapon fusion system, all elemental weapons have been removed and now have been replaced with these magic wands to make elemental attacks even more enhanced. I always liked the neon futury look of the swords here. I guess we can always have the Zonite weapons and Ancient Blades, but those are just replacements for the Guardian weapons. I will admit, even though I rarely use these elemental weapons, I always liked putting them in my house because it made it look better. It really does suck that there's certain sacrifices need to be made in order to make the sequel's mechanics to work. The fourth thing Tears of the Kingdom did better is the Yiga disguise, replacing the Gerudo one.
Kill him!
Once again, another controversial opinion, because I don't really like to dress as a girl to get in a woman's only town. I'm sorry, I know that everyone likes Femboy Link, but I just don't want to wear these clothes.
Darling, what can I do for you, eh?
Maria.
Now I don't know if Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom are considered immersive sims, since there's certain puzzles in the game that made the devs will say, no, that's not how you play the game. But then again, the game devs did want players to think outside the box creatively, so I actually did try to do my best to get in without wearing girls' clothes. But unfortunately, a girl disguise is the only way to get inside, and there aren't any outside the box solutions that allow me to get in unless if I dress up like a femboy. So what's the point of thinking outside the box when I get spotted anyway? Is stealth even an option at this point? Thankfully, due to the zombie invasion in Tears of the Kingdom, I was granted special permission, so I'm pretty much able to come into Gerudo Town whenever I want without dressing like a girl.
I will never dress like a woman again. Ever.
There is, however, one place that you need to get inside with a disguise, and that's the Yiga hideout. Honestly, I'm surprised they were still living in Gerudo Valley, and they have their own little black market here and their own vehicle shop. Don't even bother buying them because they're crap.
Fuck you, Hyrule.
If you're dumb enough to buy a new car this weekend, you're a big enough schmuck to come to Big Bill Hell's car.
This is honestly refreshing because now they don't have to attack me anymore with this disguise. Also, you can make Link into an earthbender, holy shit! And I guess what makes this a better improvement is that the Yiga are actually evil and I'm actually infiltrating them, while the Gerudos, they used to be evil? Well, they're thieves? You know, I'm starting to think that the Gerudos are like the Slytherin of the Zelda series nowadays. Didn't Zoras become evil too at one point? Now the fourth thing that Breath of the Wild did better than Tears of the Kingdom are the champion flashbacks. They are way better than the Sage flashbacks. One of the few things I didn't like about Tears of the Kingdom is the lack of detail and backstory of the sages. In Breath of the Wild, when Link unlocks a memory in the main story, he begins reminiscing that old time back when he was working with his old champion comrades. One of my favorites being the touching memory of Link with Nitha. Not a shipper. I know there are hints of Link and Zelda's romance, but there's probably people out there trying to set sail in the seas with these two. Anyway, by looking more deeper into their backstory via people talking about their legends and viewing them in the flashbacks, it offers a lot about their character and probably more in Age of Calamity. But I don't own that game, so I'm not sure if they have more character development. Either way, it's still better than the sages telling the same backstory with the same reused dialogue over and over and over again with slight small changes. Like, why just give us the backstory of the Lightning Sage? She's a Gerudo like Ganon. Like, why did she rebel and join the good guys? The only hint so far is the mention of a free Gerudo village, but I really want to know who these guys were before they were sages instead of listening to the character saying secret stones all over again. Before I want to move on to the final thing that Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild did better, I want to go and list some unscripted honorable mentions. Honorable mentions on what Tears of the Kingdom did better. A better bird character. Remember Rivali? Fuck that guy. I'm glad he got replaced by his little birdie here. Too bad Tiba here didn't become a sage. I wonder if there's a reason for that change. Next up is that the shrines are shorter. I think I'm the only one who felt that these shrines are shorter, and I honestly prefer these than the last game. Third honorable thing, limited bombs. These are a very welcome change and are way better than the bombs in the last game. It's really cool to see bomb flowers making a return. Like, thinking about the bombs in Breath of the Wild, they just feel so dull, lifeless, and boring. And you have like infinite amounts of them because they can recharge a lot. Like, they're overpowered and boring at the same time. Thank God limited resource bombs make a return. And speaking of recharging, no more cooldown recharge. I can't believe I just recently discovered that cooldowns exist in the last game. Like, does anyone remember that or is it just me? Now for the honorable mentions that Breath of the Wild did better. Where's Cass in Tears of the Kingdom? I can't even find him. Like, it took me a while to realize that one of the characters from the last game were missing. Or is he anyway? The second honorable mention I'd like to point out is that the Sheikah shrines just have a way better aesthetic. I kinda prefer the darker, colder feeling of these shrines than Zonai shrines, which kinda looks like some sort of spaceship. Third honorable mention. Remember that Link used to have a motorcycle, the DLC? What happened to it? And the final honorable mention that Breath of the Wild did better is that players not making crazy contraptions that made me realize I lacked the creativity. This is probably just a me problem. Whenever I see anyone on YouTube making some kind of crazy vehicle or contraption, it made me realize I'm either playing the game wrong, or maybe I just don't have the level of creativity like these guys. What can I make? None of them. I don't have that level of creativity. So screw all of you guys.
We will make history, or we will die trying.
Now with the honorable mentions out of the way, I'm going to talk about the final point on what makes these two games better than each other. Tears of the Kingdom, no amiibos are needed for legendary weapons and gear. I don't know about you guys, but I don't own amiibos. I never bought them, never used them, never collected them. I don't even have a single amiibo in my house. Ever since that Smash 4 trailer, the only thing I thought about is that add CPU players. Like, why just find some level 9 CPU? Why do I need an amiibo for? Why do I have to use some pay-to-win DLC system that can only be bought on stores? Why do I have to look like some sort of modern day tokusatsu protagonist just to unlock things I want in the game? Now, there are games where if you use certain amiibos, you unlock certain things early, or unlock things that can't be found in the game unless you have that amiibo. Because I found out that these legendary classic items are actually in the last game, and that alone is enough to put this on the #1 spot. Good thing they changed this. Besides, I do think that finding them by going all over the skies, the lands, or the depths of Hyrule motivates more exploration and discovery. And once I do find them, I'd better keep them in your home collection, because these things cost like 400 POs. So I'd recommend using them in the finale. And speaking of home, my final point on what Breath of the Wild did better is my house. My goddamned house. The place where I stay to live. A cozy household where I show off my weapons. All gone. You know, I was glad that they kept the horse from my last game, but what about my house? Where is my house? What happened to it? This isn't how I remembered. Why is it called... Excuse me? Did she steal my house? Did she kick me out? She threw away all my weapons I kept. Well, excuse me, princess. I'm forced to buy a new house again for 15,000 rupees and buy expensive rooms. Don't you have any idea how expensive it is to buy another house? Did I not pay my rent? Is that why I got kicked out? I can't even add extra walls in it, and my house looks terrible outside. Like, it's a warehouse, not a normal house. Why can't I just add extra doors inside? Why do I have to make my house look like this? Why did I let Zelda live in my old house? What was I thinking? Ever since in Breath of the Wild, couldn't keep her hands on the Sheikah slate. But not our princess. Couldn't be precious princess. Sleeping in blind. And she gets to sleep in my old home. What a sick joke! Well, I guess that's all I can say on what one of the games did better than the other. Now, if there's something that I missed, or maybe if there's something that you want to talk about by comparing these two games, please let me know down in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions. Anyway guys, this is Cinder Unit logging off until next time.